Hey folks, thanks for stopping by. If it's your first time visiting, thanks for being here. I'm Rick. So Mike at Grampie's Workshop invited me to the 5 favorite tractor attachment add-on features. So we'll go over those 5 attachments and add-ons today. 2 of the attachments are over in the side yard, so we'll take a walk over there in a minute and look at those first, and then we'll come back to the tractor and look at what I have on the tractor, and there's one in the barn. So let's take a walk over to the side of the yard here, and we'll look at the first 2. Here is the very first attachment that I ever owned. This is a 48-inch Kubota, I think it's an FL850 tiller. I think that's the model number. I bought this tiller with my very first tractor. That was an International 234, I believe, 18 horsepower compact tractor. It's really a rebadged Mitsubishi. That was a fantastic tractor, but it didn't have all of the features that I wanted. So I ended up buying my 2010 Massey Ferguson GC2610 tractor. I kept this tiller for that tractor, and then I sold the International tractor. So that's attachment number 1. I picked that first because it's the very first attachment that I had. So let's go on to number 2, which is probably the most expensive attachment. And that's my backhoe. This backhoe came with the Massey Ferguson tractor. This has saved me a huge amount of money. I've used this on a few different projects. The biggest of which was the restoration of my barn, and I use this to excavate for the footers for the barn. Now, I've got a lot of hours on this. I've done some drainage work with this, and I'll be using it again real soon for another drainage project actually out in the woods there. So the video will be coming out for that soon. All right, so that was the first attachment and the most expensive attachment. So now let's go look at number 3. Now, number 3 is the most used attachment. That's my MK Martin Meteor Snowblower, 60-inch. This is on the back of my tractor for, it depends on the winter, 5 or 6 months out of the year, maybe 7 months, depends on the winter. It's a 60-inch snowblower, as I said, 3-point hitch, rear-mounted snowblower. This is a fantastic tool. I bought this used about the time I bought my Massey Ferguson tractor. I think it was shortly after I bought the tractor. I had another snowblower before this. It didn't work too well, so I sold that one and bought this. This is a rugged machine. The only damage I've ever done to it, and I worked it hard sometimes, is a couple of shear pins broke. So that's number 3. Now we'll move on to number 4. And number 4 are these forks. These forks came with the tractor when I bought it. The prior owner had welded in these tubes here, these square tubes, one there and one there, and then this square stock, square tubes slide in. Now what he had done is he had some screws, some bolts welded in here and here, and you tighten those down and it holds the forks in place. But the welds broke off, so I've got to get that repaired, put those back on. But these are really heavy duty. I don't have to worry about bending my bucket with these. The downside, obviously, is they're not adjustable. So they can only stay that fixed width apart. So what I do, I'll show you here. Let's see if I can get this. So I use some kind of boards. So this is what I call the poor man's grapple. So I grab some kind of boards. So if I'm moving a lot of brush, I'll throw some boards up on top of the forks. That's just a platform for mud season, which is the end of winter and everything gets muddy. So I have these platforms to walk on so we don't get muddy shoes and track mud into the porch. So this is my poor man's grapple. I'm going to make something a little more permanent than this that will clamp on somehow to the forks, because once I get those forks bolted back down, when I want to dump something, this obviously will slide off. So I'm going to make something similar to that, but it's going to clamp on somehow to those forks so I don't lose the boards when I'm dumping the load. So that's number 4. Hold it, stop. I made a big mistake. I mentioned that the backhoe was my most expensive attachment. That's not true. I've got another attachment that's cost me a lot of money. And I had forgotten to mention this, but I was watching Arliss at Country Living with the Harnesses, and he has a similar attachment. He's doing the 5 attachment challenge as well. He mentioned his attachment, which reminded me of mine. So there's a slight variation between our attachments, but they both serve the same purpose. This attachment, I realized, can serve as a remote control attachment on my tractor. So I just started using it recently as such. So Arliss has the Jennifer attachment. My model is the Sharon attachment. And here's a video of the Sharon attachment working remote controlly on my tractor. Now, number 5 under the tractor. This is number 5. This is the Sentinel Guard by Retail Rems. This protects the hydraulic filter for the transmission that's now behind that guard, and it also protects that transmission fan that you see there, this white fan. It protects that from sticks and whatever else. So I installed this a few years ago. It's got a guard here. So if anything happens to this PTO shaft, if anything breaks off of that, if I've got a shaft attached to that for like my mowing deck, if anything comes off of that, it won't hit the hydraulic filter in there. So that protects the hydraulic filter. And this part here, this upper part here, protects that fan from damage as well. So I replaced that fan about 3 years ago, and I don't ever want to do that again. That's not an easy job. So as soon as I got that fan fixed, I put this guard onto the tractor. So this was one of the cheapest attachments and add-ons, but it can save me a lot of money. That can save me thousands of dollars in damage, and or maybe an inexpensive repair, but very time consuming and very difficult to do. meaning that fan there. So I don't want to do that again. So that's number 5. But now what I want to do is challenge probably 4 people to show us their favorite add-ons in tractor attachments. So the first person is going to be John at Louisiana Tractor Works and Projects. John is one of the first channels that I subscribed to several years ago. I don't know if John can do this. I know he's busy with his job and doesn't have much time for YouTube videos right now, but I'm going to challenge John and hopefully he can do it. If you can't, John, I certainly understand. That's fine. The second person would be Gene at Pond Acres. The third person is Don at Houndsman 1. And the fourth person would be Phil at Peterson Farms of Nashville. So I'm inviting you 4 guys to this challenge. Hopefully you can do it. If not, I understand. Well, let's see what you have for favorite attachments on your tractors. And thank you, Mike at Grampie's workshop, for inviting me to do this challenge. It was a lot of fun. So, as always, thank you for stopping by. Thanks for visiting. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks again.